All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Happy Halloween. Hope you all have a nice big bowl of candy waiting for you at the end of the day, or maybe after the end of this program. I'm Mike Serra. I'm the League Executive Director, and I'd like to join you. Thank you for joining us today on our lame duck webinar in anticipation of the next couple of months and maybe a heightened sense of activity in the state legislature. First, a few housekeeping items. This is being recorded, so it would be available for viewing later as well, and the PowerPoint will be made available to participants as well. It is being recorded, and it is, but we're running it as a Zoom meeting. So if you have any comments, I would ask if you could drop them into the chat box. We'll try to answer any questions we have. We can also, depending on time, try to open it up at the end. We're hoping to keep it to an hour tops to be respectful of everyone's time. So with that, can I just get a thumbs up? Everyone can see the screen and hear me okay? All right, sounds good. Looks good. All right, so once again, thanks for joining us. And again, this is our webinar on the lame duck. I'm joined by Lori Buckaloo, our Deputy Executive Director, Paul Penna, our Director of Government Affairs, Aaron Needler, our Legislative Analyst, and Sadaya Durant Brown, our Legislative Counsel. And just from the outset, these are some of the issues that we're going to be talking about. Here we go. Energy tax receipts, land use legislation, state health benefits, the business personal property tax relief. Again, election day next Tuesday. You may have heard that there's an election, going on. Shortly after that, is what we call lame duck, and it goes. This year will be going ending on January 13th. So again, what this means is it's the end of the session. So they're very it changes the procedures for legislation. As you see, the governor no longer has the option of returning a bill to the legislature necessarily for a conditional veto. Has 7 days after the end of the session to either sign the legislation or veto it. Any bill not signed after 10 days does not become law, or what's called a pocket veto. All bills not signed into law die, and we have to start, everything starts all over again. And lame duck, I guess you could say, starts on Monday, November 10th. We anticipate some Senate committee hearings will be held on that day. What we're going to provide to you is not necessarily exhaustive. There are going to be issues unanticipated that emerge. New bills will get dropped in and potentially moved. But this is our best guess right now as to some issues that we may be talking about over the next couple of months. So let me just jump ahead here a couple. And first, we're getting into, and if you're in the system, you know it well, the state health benefits and program. So I'm going to hand that off to Lori Buckaloo, our Deputy Executive Director, and Aaron Needler to speak on this. So Lori, why don't you take it away?
Certainly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So as you're aware, municipalities have the option to either be self-insured or in a health insurance fund or in the state health benefits program. So what we're speaking here really impacts those municipalities that have chosen or have no other option but to be in the state health benefits plan. So over the past 4 years, the increases have gone up double, well, except in 24, the anomaly, but have been going up significantly. In 25, it was 16.4%. In 24, it was 7.4%. And in 23, it was 20%. This past November for plan year 2026, the State Health Benefits Commission approved a 36.25% increase for the local government employer group plan for 2026. Next slide, Mike. In plan year 2026, this rate renewal was recommended by Aon, and Aon is the plan's actuary. They they came up with various scenarios. Now, this 36.25% doesn't include funds to bring up the claim stabilization reserve up to the 2-month recommended rate. Right now, it's operating at a negative 7-month. And it does not include fully funding the 200 million that has been borrowed from the state employee government health plan to the local government employer health plan. If the rates, according to Aon in the actuary report, included those two items, we would have been looking at more of a 63% increase in plan year 2026. And Erin's going to give you an update on the next slide where we sort of lie today.
Thanks, Lori. So subsequent to all of that, the state budget language for the 26 state budget included a mandate for the Plan Design Committee, which is made up of both state members and public employee members, to submit proposals to Aon, the actuary, to achieve 100 million in recurring savings during the first 6 months of plan year 2026. And then just a few days after the rate renewal was set by the State Health Benefits Commission, Governor Murphy and 17 of the public sector unions representing the state workers announced an agreement that they're hoping to achieve 75 million in reoccurring health benefit savings for the final 6 months of the FY 2026. The agreement does not include local government employees. It represents just a short-term remedy for a larger situation that we're dealing with in terms of cost of the plan. And that we are hopeful that legislation, which was part of the agreement, will also apply those savings to the local employer groups. Part of that agreement, it was various things, but one of the big takeaways for that the both Plan Design Committee and the State Health Benefits Commission were talking about with Aon in general were the cost of prescription drugs, and one of them being the GLP-1 drugs, those Ozempic or Wegovy type drugs. So that there would be a new copay plan for that. Also, they talked about in-network deductibles for individuals and out-of-network deductibles out of pocket for individuals as well. And then talking about incentivizing in-network ambulatory surgical centers and limits on physical therapy visits across the board. Those are just a few things that they discussed in terms of the MOA. And I'll pass the next slide off to Lori.
And as Erin said, that they came to an agreement. The state has continued to agree to work with the unions on identifying longer-term significant cost containment strategies. We'll see. I'm not terribly optimistic, but we'll see what happens there. And then the one thing we want to highlight in the memorandum of agreement, item 10 states that due to the cost savings agreed by the unions, no escalator will be applied to the members' contributions to the cost benefit plan for plan year 26. That applies only to the state employees who are part of the state employer plan, not employees part of the local government employer plan. And so what's next? On next slide, Mike. What's next? Since the end of 2020, approximately more than 90 local governments have left the state health benefits plan. That represents 10% of the membership. They're choosing to obtain coverage either through a health insurance fund or the private market. The MOA, as we know, does not include local governments, and it's only a short-term remedy. We are told from the last Plan Design Committee that there is going to be today's the last day of open enrollment. There is going to be another special open enrollment because some of the changes that were agreed to at the state level are now going to be applied to the local government plans. However, we do not know what that looks like. We do not know when that open enrollment will be. We only know it'll be sometime in 2026. That's a lot more to be determined. The Senate has created a Senate working group. Senate President Scutari charged the chairs of various committees to come together and put together a working group to address the state health benefit costs. That committee consists of Majority Leader Ruiz, Senator Sarlo, Senator Beach, Senator Vitale, and Senator Lagana. They've been holding stakeholder meetings. We're waiting to see what their next steps are. Anyway, we look forward. We know there's going to be a legislative fix to address it. What that legislative fix looks like, we are uncertain at this point in time. The league has a working group comprised of mayors, administrators, and finance officers looking at this issue. That task force is led by our second vice president, Hamilton Mayor Martin. They've been holding meetings and coming up with solutions that they wish to put forth, and we are partnering with the New Jersey Association of Counties and the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, that any changes we wish to see forth, we're going to work as a coalition to see what changes we can advance. So that's where we stand in the state health benefit universe at this point in time. It's a very fluid situation. Just stay alert and we'll keep you posted what happens there. Next, Mike, Sarah, and Paul are going to bring and discuss some of the land use legislation that we are going to see during the lame duck session.
Thank you, Lori. And if I may, just to go back to state health benefits for a moment and do a bit of a commercial. At the upcoming league conference on Tuesday afternoon at 3:45, there is going to be a session on this very topic featuring Mayor Martin as the presider, as Lori mentioned, is the chair of our task force, as well as representatives of some of the public sector unions, our labor management representative, Matt Watkins. I'm hopeful to get a legislator on that session as well. But that's that participation is unconfirmed. But that session is set. I believe it's 3:45. I don't have the room number off the top of my head, but it's on Tuesday afternoon of the league conference. So and you can get an update and hear different perspectives on this issue at that session. We're moving on to land use legislation. There's a consistent theme with some of these land use bills, and the consistent theme is preemption. It is efforts of from the state to override and influence your local zoning, undo master plans as well. So I'm going to take the first couple, and as you see here, and the first is what is been referred to as the stranded assets bill. Now, if you've been in office for a while, if this sounds familiar, you're right, because this concept has been kicking around for over a decade now, as it attempts specifically to take underutilized or abandoned commercial properties zoned commercially by master plan and convert them into mixed-use developments. So specifically now, the latest iteration of these concepts are found in S1408 and A2757. This is companion legislation, but at this time, the Senate bill reads differently than the Assembly bill. Generally, the comments here that I'm making in these notes reflect the Senate bill and the Senate amendments, which are a little more current. So the Senate bill was reported out of the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and has been standing at second reading in the Senate since. It would require your municipal planning board to permit the conversion of eligible properties as deemed by the bill, hence the term stranded assets, into mixed-use development as of right. So it effectively would bypass the existing variance procedure and preempt your local zoning. I won't go through every one of these conditions, but the amended Senate bill, as well as the Assembly bill, and again, there are differences at this point in time, lays out exactly what an eligible property is and some factors of it as well, such as 50,000 square feet or retail of at least 15,000. A vacancy rate, downturn over a period of time. The owner has made a what they deem a good faith effort to re-up the properties. Uh, this this bill again prescribes 20% of the residential units to be constructed in the mixed use shall be reserved as very low income housing. Again, breaking down exactly the distribution of the types of units. It also deals with pilot agreements and deems these projects as areas in need of redevelopment without consideration of the local redevelopment and housing law. We testified in opposition to this legislation, uh, both in the Senate and we have in the past in the Assembly as well. Among the reasons for our opposition is the preemption, the overriding of local zoning. The simple fact is, every one of these projects can seek a variance through the current MLUL. We view this as unnecessary. And again, it's just, I think, a way to bypass the local zoning as well. Again, the Senate bill is at second reading. The Assembly bill, again, which is different, we'll see how it works out, but has been referenced to the Assembly Commerce and Economic Development and Agriculture Committee, but has yet to have a hearing in the Assembly. We are keeping our eye in both houses on the bill, however. The next bill we want to provide you an update is S 4451. This bill has passed the Senate, is in the Assembly and referred to the Assembly Housing Committee, has seen no action in the Assembly to date. Essentially, and again, I won't go word for word through here, but this essentially would require your housing element to be put into your master plan. One of the major issues with doing it this way is that the bill is, and it spells out very clearly, and there's no ambiguity about it, is in effect immediately, which means a master plan upon the date of the signing of the bill, if it was signed in with the current language, could be challenged because if it did not already have the housing element. This essentially would require significant resources to be acted upon immediately by professionals in the municipalities in order to this. And again, and we got some pushback on this point, and I think folks conflate master plan and housing plan because these are two separate plans we're talking about. And the issue here is that the master plan itself would be deemed not compliant with the statute upon the effectiveness of the act. Again, we opposed this bill. It passed the Senate by a very narrow margin. As you can see, its fate in the Assembly is uncertain, but we certainly need to stay on top of it as well. We think it is an unfunded mandate because it is a requirement. It also will have unintended consequences on your master plan as well as your housing plan. So again, S 4451, and I believe the sheet earlier had the Assembly companion legislation number, which we could drop into the box as well. The next bill, again, if you've been around for a while, this may sound familiar. This concerns the development of accessory dwelling units. Again, as of right, anyone can seek a variance for the approval of an ADU. This would make it as of right if it meets the conditions of the bill. Won't go again word for word, but essentially the issue is the preemption, overriding what the local zoning, maybe not taking into account all the counts of the particularly residential zone, since this is a one size fits all approach. The sheet lays out all the specific provisions of the bill. But again, the overriding theme here is preemption and the as of right approval. And this slide again goes into to more details about the ADUs. Housing Committee considered scheduled this bill for testimony, merged three bills into one, but did not advance the legislation. So in the Assembly, this bill remains in committee. The Senate companion bill was reported out of the Senate committee, has been since amended on the Senate floor, and passed. Well, that last line I think is incorrect. I believe this stands at second reading in the Senate. I don't believe it's passed the Senate. Well, let's check that and confirm that. So Paul, I believe you're picking up the next bills, which is regarding parking requirements.
Yes, thank you. Next slide, Mike. Good afternoon, everyone. So you're going to see similar themes to Mike's legislation that he reported on. S 2974 and A 3043 bypasses the municipal master plan and planning process and unilaterally allows for the reduction of parking for development near train stations. You see there, it eliminates off-street parking requirements within a half mile of any rail passenger service station, 50% reduction in required parking within half a mile of public transportation service, and 30% reduction in required parking spaces within a half mile and mile of the same. This legislation restricts municipalities' ability to plan their own communities. And when it passed the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee earlier this year, we testified in opposition for all of those reasons. And its Assembly companion is awaiting a hearing in Assembly, State, and Local Government Committee. Next slide, Mike. S 4048 A 5241, warehouse prohibition near historic district. So this legislation, as originally drafted, affected a few hundred sites around the state. It has since been amended to only affect about less than a dozen sites throughout the state. This legislation prohibits approval of a project related to the construction of a large warehouse development within 1,000 feet of a historic district. As it was amended, it gave the planning board with jurisdiction over a historic district the ability to waive allow the planning board to waive the historic provisions. However, and we testified in Assembly Commerce in opposition to this legislation because in one specific instance, there is a proposed warehouse development off of an interstate, and the historic district actually resides in a neighboring community. So based on the amended legislation, it gives the planning board of the community with the historic district veto over the planning of its neighboring community, where the planning board, who are appointed by the governing board members, are not accountable to the residents of the community where the proposed warehouse district would apply, and really strikes at the heart of home rule and local autonomy. So this has been This legislation has been long and winding. It passed Senate Community and Urban Affairs prior to being amended. It passed Assembly Commerce as amended, and was referred to Assembly State and Local Government, where it awaits a hearing. And we have strongly opposed this legislation. Next slide, please. Uh, S4736. This was just recently introduced. It enhances the ability of a religious and nonprofit organization to convert certain property to inclusionary developments with affordable housing. It was just introduced earlier this month when the Senate had a quorum call and was referred to the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee. It enhances the ability of religious and nonprofit organizations to convert certain property to inclusionary developments with affordable housing. All of this can be done not only through the variance process, but religious and nonprofit entities already have inherently beneficial use, and we're trying to figure out exactly the necessity for this legislation. There is some question. You see, there the last point here requires a planning board to approve an application to repurpose into inclusionary development with affordable housing, regardless of the eligible property's location in the municipality, if the project complies with the applicable zoning requirements. On its surface, we oppose this bill, and the League Legislative Committee reviewed this legislation. Much of it is already permitted, and it appears to allow these entities to participate in the pilot program as a right. So it's very troubling. So with that, those are the yeah, this is, I'm sorry, you'll see here the provisions of this. And with that, thank you very much. And I will move on next to, I believe, energy tax receipts. So, Lori?
Thank you, Paul. Energy tax receipts. If you go to the next slide, Mike, S4691, A5787 was introduced at the end of June and has not had a hearing yet, but we do expect to potentially see some action during lame duck. The 10,000-foot view is that it repeals sections of law providing for the distribution of the energy tax receipts, property tax relief, and consolidated municipal property tax relief aid, or what we call COMTRA, and it replaces it with a new initiative called Municipal Property Tax Relief Program. And it would require state revenues currently deposited for the energy tax receipt relief property tax relief fund to be put into the municipal property tax relief fund. And those revenues would be dedicated to support payments to municipalities under the municipal property tax relief program. Mike, next slide, please. So starting in state fiscal year 26, the following funds would be credited to the municipal property tax relief. And you can see they are the funds that are currently going to the energy tax receipt, sales and use tax for energy utilities under the sales and use tax, payments under the corporate business tax from gas and electric public utilities, and payments from telecommunication utilities as of April 1, 1997, payments from sewer and water corporations under the Transitional Energy Facility Assessment, and monies from the general fund or property tax relief necessary to provide that the annual amount credited the fund shall equal the amount determined by the law to be distributed. Next slide, Mike. So what will happen under this program is each municipality will receive an amount not less than the amount they received of energy tax receipts in calendar year 24, or for those in 8 remaining fiscal year towns, state fiscal year 25. The funds would be distributed in the same calendar that we currently have for energy tax receipts. It does allow the Director of Local Government Services to accelerate payments necessary to ensure the fiscal stability of a municipality. That would have to be done in consultation with Commissioner of Department of Community Affairs and Division of Taxation Director. And so under the bill, starting in state fiscal year 2026, 1.455 billion would have to be multiplied by the greater sum of 1.0 or the index rate, and that funds would be put into the municipal property tax relief. Next slide, Mike. And no municipality should be receive less in municipal property tax relief than they received in energy tax receipts in 2024 year. The distribution will be based moving forward under the Municipal Property Tax Relief Act. The distribution would be based on the formula developed by the DCA commissioner, and it has to include the following benchmarks, so to speak. So population according to the most recent census, median household income according to the most recent census, equalized property valuation per capita, the ratio of average equalized value of residential property in the municipality to the average equalized value of residential property statewide, the value of state property that is exempt from taxation as a percentage of the total value of the property within the municipality, the ratio of assessed value to true value of real property in the municipalities. And this is what the Director of Division of Taxation publishes in the table of equalized valuations. The level of distress experienced by a municipality is measured by the Municipal Revitalization Index, which would be established by the Department of Community Affairs, and a spending restraint factor calculated as the difference between the estimated and actual spending based on the criteria, again, established by the Department of Community Affairs that has predicted such spending. Next slide, Mike. Within 2 days of the Municipal Property Tax Relief Fund being announced in the state budget, the division will have to notify each municipality how much they are receiving in municipal property tax relief aid. Excess aid, so this is any amount that's distributed from the Municipal Property Tax Relief Fund in excess of the amount distributed from the Energy Tax Receipt Fund in fiscal year 2002, that excess must be used solely and exclusively to reduce the amount to be required by the local property tax levy for municipal purposes. So any increases that you receive will have to be applied towards your municipal property tax levy. And then in any year, the state collects more revenue than the 1.425 billion from taxes that is dedicated for the Municipal Property Tax Relief Act, then 75% of those funds will have to be distributed back to the municipalities. The bill does include a poison pill. We've put a working group together to look at this proposal that's been put forth. Obviously, there's elements that we like of the bill, and there are elements that we have concerns with the legislation. We have a working group that's starting to review it and working with the meeting with the sponsors and stakeholders to see how it's going to truly impact each municipality in the state.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Veronica.
So I just want a little clarification on the third. I'm going to say that any amount aid distributed from the municipal property tax in excess of the amount distributed from the ETR in 2002. So while I'm going to maintain my amount that I received last year, I'm going to say, right?
Correct.
And might be additional monies that towns could receive. So is it the difference between what I received in 24 and 2002 that have to be applied towards the municipal relief fund, property tax fund, Or is it anything in excess of what I received in 24? Do you have
That's one.
taken 2002 into play?
Well, and Veronica, that's one of the issues we're trying to get to the bottom to as well. One, to understand if that's truly the place and how that would work for a municipality to calculate that out and what it means for the municipality. And two, to see if it is the case, why the 2002 is being used as a benchmark when earlier they said that towns are going to be held, so my term, harmless with the change of the law from last year to 26. So that is one of the areas we're looking into.
Okay, because that makes a big difference for us, if I have to redirect those funds, so to speak.
Correct. Correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So just stay tuned. We'll continue to keep you updated where the working group's landing and the issues that we're resolving. And next up, I believe, is Aaron on business personal property tax.
Thanks, Lori. So business personal property tax, BPPT, was enacted to mirror federal law in 1997. Telephone exchanges operating at 51% or more required to pay BPPT. However, the problem lies that we don't know how those calculations are made or what that percentage is at any given time. So hence the Verizon v. Hopewell case. Hopewell was ultimately successful after very lengthy and costly legal proceedings. However, municipalities have been settling individually each year. Next slide, Mike, please. S1535 was introduced as a remedy to some of these issues, and especially the litigation aspect. It defines local exchange telephone companies that held a regular monopoly prior to the Telecommunications Act. So that would be your big primary telephone company. It would require them to pay the BPPT on the property regardless of the percentage of the local telephone exchange, and it would be built into the tax base permanently. So you would be able to rely on that annually. Additionally, the bill would allow for municipalities who are the prevailing party in litigation on this matter to be awarded attorney's fees. So obviously we're in support of this legislation and hope to see it move. However, it does not at this point have an assembly counterpart or companion rather. And I think the next slide would go to Sadea.
Thanks, Erin. So we have just a few updates on some of the major regulations that were proposed this year that we're currently waiting for decisions on. The first one is the DEP's Resilient Environments and Landscapes Rules, which are set to take effect on January 2026. The DEP published a notice of substantial changes on July 21st. The changes included things such as an adjustment to sea level, rise projections from 5 feet to 4 feet, changing requirements for permits, and updates to scientific data every 5 years or so. That was followed by a 60-day comment period, which ended on the 19th. We received many comments from our members on this. We submitted a comment in opposition, and we are waiting to hear back from the DEP on the decision on that. The second one is the 3M DuPont PFAS contamination settlement case. So the DEP published a notice to receive interested party comments on the judicial consent orders between 3M and DEP and DuPont and DEP. The settlements will resolve pending litigation involving the discharge of PFAS in the state. The settlement awards $450 million to the state to be paid out over the course of 25 years. That comment period also ended on the 19th. We submitted a comment on that as well, echoing concerns received from the AEA and some local authorities, asking the DEP to vacate the order and reconsider the settlement after allowing municipalities to participate in the discussion. And the last one is the proposed uniform housing affordability controls. They were published by the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, or HMFA, on July 21st. Also followed by a 60-day comment period, which we submitted a comment on the 19th with the help of New Jersey Institute of Local Government attorneys. We oppose them as proposed for many reasons, including a lack of clarity, the need to maintain continuity of existing methods, and preservation of the state's existing affordable housing stock. So we are, as mentioned, we are still waiting to hear back from that as well.
All right. Thank you, Sadea. So we are going to do a shameless quick promotion. Leak the first our news flashes. Whenever there is any action on any of these issues or any other issues that may emerge during lame duck that we haven't anticipated yet or haven't been dropped in yet. News flashes are a way to get the latest and greatest information on what's happening in Trenton, and you can sign up for them at that site. And of course, we're just over 2 weeks away from the 110th annual conference, which is shaping up to be rather rather large event. And many of these issues are going to be discussed in some of the sessions. I mentioned the state health benefits session, which I believe Erin put or Lori put in the information on the location for that in the box. Some of our affiliates do legislative updates as well, and we'll be discussing some of these bills. I see Jason Kassler from the NJPL. I'll do a commercial. I know some of Jason's programs that down at the conference will be addressing undoubtedly some of the issues raised by the land use preemption bills. So good way to get, and not to mention the legislative leaders panel, which will probably first and foremost discuss the outcome of the election and the transition for the governor-elect, whoever he or she may be. But then we will pivot towards some issues that the legislators will anticipate advancing in during the lame duck session. Our contact information, again, this will go out to everyone. If you have any additional questions on any of this after this, you can drop us a line and we'll do our best to answer it. Happy Halloween, and we'll use the Halloween slide for any questions if anyone has. I don't see any dropped in the box, but so let's just open it up. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and have a question, you please do so now.
Mike, while we're waiting for folks to do that, I do want to also raise that the energy tax receipts bill S4691, A5787, which is Senator Singleton, Assemblyman Schnall bill, has the support of the Department of Community Affairs.
Right.
So the Department of Community Affairs have been working with Senator Singleton and Assemblyman Schnall to advance that legislation.
Speaking of another Senator Singleton bill, and I don't believe we've touched on that today, was the one that probably will get pushed through in lame duck is Senate Bill 4736 about the affordable housing, where you can preempt local zoning for certain religious and nonprofit organizations, which would allow high density residential housing of 40 units per acre and a height of 1 story higher than allowed maximum as permitted use anywhere in your town. And it would preempt all your local zoning. That's another one that just came up within this week.
Yeah. Well, we did discuss that.
Yeah, we did. All right, I must have glazed over that.
That is on one of the slides, but yeah, that is a bill that was just dropped in. There isn't an assembly companion to date.
Correct.
I would expect that bill will get a hearing at the very least in the Senate. after that, its fate, I think, is uncertain, but obviously it follows the same concern. It's preemption. It's for something that can be done through there is a mechanism in the MLUL, and Paul mentioned there's some complicating factors, particularly with that because of inherently beneficial use, and that's something when we're digging into more right now. But yeah, that is definitely something we have our eyes on as well.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I know you're all looking to get out early for trick or treating. Let's see. Michelle's asking if any resolutions opposing 4736. I believe that was the bill we just discussed. I think we're probably going to be drafting one very shortly. Welcome. Any other questions? Either in the box or open it up. Anyone have sample resolution for the property tax grace period? I don't know if Erin is nodding her head. So,
Yes,
well,
we can send that out.
yeah, we'll okay. Yeah, so that was from Nancy, Erin. So we'll follow up with you on that. Hearing anyone else? Hearing none, and seeing none. Thank you for taking the time. I would just ask that it's be engaged when the lame duck starts. Follow those news flashes. Please pay attention to our alerts. We're very careful. We try not to ring the alarm bell unless the alarm bell really needs to be rung. So when we send out a notice that says your action is needed or that urgent alert, that's the indication that we really think we need assistance to kind of push back or push forward, depending on what the legislation may be. So please stay engaged. Follow us on social media. Follow us on our news flashes. Don't hesitate to reach out to us with any follow-up questions. We will get the PowerPoint. We have a correction to make, and might clean it up just a little bit based on some of the questions. But we will get the PowerPoint out to everyone who registered for this as well. So with that, happy Halloween. Have a nice weekend. Hopefully it'll be a little drier than it was in the last 24, 36 hours. Good luck to those of you dealing with any effects of the rain and the storm the last couple of days. And hope to see you all on Atlantic City. So thank you.